I have been tasked with building an instrument. Well, that's rather vague. How am I supposed to come up with an instrument design when there are hundreds of things I could do? Do I use strings? Do I blow into it? Does something rub to vibrate? The possibilities are endless. I'm going to build a slide organ. Since this video is going to be geared for a much more general audience, there are a few things I need to explain before we continue. When you hear a sound, you're hearing a sound wave. We call a wave because when the motion of air molecules over time is graphed, it looks like a wave. The rate at which the source of the vibrations is vibrating at is called frequency. We measure this in hertz. My instrument uses a pipe open at both ends. If the pipe is open at both ends, we use the following equation. F equals C divided by 2L, where F is the frequency, C is the speed of sound in air, and 2L is the wavelength, which is 2 times the length of the pipe. Keeping up so far? Good. Just a little bit more. If we have the length of the pipe, we can calculate the frequency of its fundamental. Harmonics are essentially whatever the base frequency of something is, along with the next set of frequencies that are multiples of the base frequency, or the fundamental. Back to the equation. You calculate the fundamental if you know the length. Everything after that, you just multiply your fundamental frequency by whatever the harmonic number is. So if you're calculating the frequency of the third harmonic, you just multiply your fundamental frequency by 3. Alright, we have our instrument, but now we need design. But how am I going to design something like... Made it. A quick summary. This design looks sort of like an organ. It both is and isn't. We have the air chamber, here. This will be connected to a blower of some kind. On top of that will be my stops, and on top of that will be my PVC pipes. You see that opening right there? That is what makes the sound, or makes the vibrations to create sound. To do this, I will need to cut my pipe in a way so that air is being directed in a flat sheet at this little lip right here. That will vibrate and create a note. By using the equation from earlier, I determined the lengths that the pipes need to be at in order to create a range of 15 notes listed here. Now, I need materials. Take it away, past Matthew. Alright, we got the diagram. Now, I just need the materials. I'll let editing magic do its thing. Alright, looks like we're going outside for this one because my little garage, no matter how much lighting gear I stick in it, just can't seem to be lit up. So it looks like you guys get a little bit of outside time for today. Anyway, watch this. Would you look at that? Materials. Well, let's go over what we have. We have PVC pipes, a leaf blower, some screw thingies to hold the pipes in the box, duct tape, some plywood I found in my dad's garage, some random screws I found in my dad's garage, Gorilla Glue, some random cardboard box, because plywood is expensive. And that brings us to a grand total of 30...
Use that. That's copyright. Stop.
Well, if we can't use the Price is Right, what do we use?
I got you.
Okay, then I'll do it again. And that brings us to a grand total of $31.26, which is below the $75 limit that we had set. Alright. Got a box now. But this little cardboard box is really flimsy and it's got these big old gaps in it. So to help solve that, I'm going to reinforce it with some good old duct tape. Now, jeez. You know, you gotta warn me if you were gonna try and throw in a quick edit like that. You know, when you're not prepared for the edit to happen, it just kind of throws you off. Like, come on, you could have at least put in like a time lapse in there or something. Like, this is just lazy. Never mind. Moving on. Alrighty then, let's hope that does not happen again. Anyways, moving on. The next step is to cut out a box-shaped piece of plywood that will go on top of my duct tape box. This piece of plywood is where I'm going to mount the stops and the pipes. So let's get started on that, shall we? I was thinking, based on how big it is, right about here should be fine. Yeah. Again? Dude, stop! Can you just let me do something for once? Like maybe just leave it in, stop cutting it out? Oh my... Yep, fine. Moving on. Hey, this is Present, who's actually past Matthew here. Currently, I've taken control of this, so future Matthew is editing this should not be able to do anything with me right now. What I got going on here is I've already showed the box, that's been completed, but we have this wood piece that I just made, and hopefully, okay, good, there's no magic edits going on right here. Anyways, I'm going to be cutting holes inside this box and attaching this on here so I can have a completed wind chest, and once that is done, I will be cutting a hole to insert the leaf blower I will be using, so I can actually test to make sure that the lips that I'm cutting into my pipe actually are cut correctly. Hey, Past Matthew here again. The box is now complete, so yay for that. Now I'm going to have to cut the openings for my flue pipes, and in doing so, I'm going to have to cut in that angle, then cut flat, and that should remove kind of a piece sort of like this. Once that's complete, I'll also have to cut down here. And I figured the opening between the lower and upper lip should be about a ½ inch. So we'll see how that goes. Luckily, if I mess up, I got 5 feet of pipe to work with. So, see you guys once that's done. I just cut a opening in my pipe, and I got my leaf blower connected to the box. I've not turned it on yet, so this will be the first test. I have no idea what's going to happen. Massively over here is giving this thing too much air. Like, watch what happens when I turn it on. If you turn this thing on its lowest setting, the air chest expands, and it's a lot of air coming out of the top. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to downgrade to something a little smaller here. I have a smaller pump that I'm going to try to, you probably can't hear me. Anyways, I have a smaller pump right here that usually is used for pumping up inner tubes. I'm going to try and patch up that hole and plug this thing in instead. So I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. Alright, this is skipping ahead a little bit in the future. As you can see, I've had, I guess that's not one, but I've had 3 failed cuts so far. And this one I attempted to install the languid on it, but that didn't work. And what I realized after doing some research, what I'm doing wrong is, with the way an organ pipe works, my diagram up here, is that you have the upper lip or the fipple, but it has to have I guess it's called a laminar, or a laminar, I don't know how to pronounce that, flow. There's a constant jet of air blowing against this upper lip. And when you have an open tube like this, that airflow just kind of vibrates at will. It's not being directed at anything. So I'm going to use, since I don't have the correct size dowel, a dowel wrapped in duct tape, kind of shoved up in this tube. I'm going to cut that down and sand it off a little, so that has a direct airflow always being directed at this fipple, which I just cut using a Dremel. So I'll get back to you guys once again, as always, once that is complete. Alright, this is the final update before I move on to the demonstration. The instrument is pretty much done. I was originally going to have a second pipe next to this here, but as you see, that is not there because no matter how I tried to shape the little languid that's inside the pipe, that little wood block right there, it's on this first pipe, I just could not get it to sound. I think I just got really lucky on this first one, but anyways, I also added a little credit card to stop so I can slide this forward and back to cut off the sound if I wish to. But yeah, now for a demonstration, and then we'll see if I met all the requirements for this instrument. Alright, here we have the completed instrument, and it is completed but not finished. This is because while it does reach the requirements that were set out by the project, it does not reach my own personal requirements that I had set up when building it. And that was to have 2 pipes and have a range of 8 notes on each pipe. Now anyways, moving on to the demonstration. This instrument is capable of producing 5 notes from a range of C4 to F4 and everything in between. And because it slides, it can have hundreds of different pitches in between that note range, so it's not just one set note. Now, let's move on to this demo. As you can see, when I turn it on, no sound is issued. That is because of this little stop right here. This little credit card I cut essentially blocks the air from coming in. And when I remove it, is my instrument. And just because it's capable of producing 5 notes doesn't mean you can't do a little bit more with some editing magic. Anyways, let's move on and see exactly how it met the requirements. This instrument falls under the horn Bastille classification 421.222.11 and an edge-blown flute with an internal duct. This is because while it does function like an organ, it is essentially a slide whistle with a constant air supply. 1. The medium that vibrates is air, and it supports longitudinal standing waves. 2. The instrument can initiate vibration by removing the stop and directing air against the upper lip, and this vibration is sustained because a blower provides a constant stream of air. 3. The instrument changes its pitch by changing the length of the pipe. 4. The column of air at the end of the pipe radiates sound. Its effectiveness is debatable, however it does reach requirements. 5. Practicality is debatable. The instrument on paper would be easy to play, but you just slide a pipe. However, the version I have could create a problem with the flimsy material used for the stop. And are the requirements met? 1. Does it produce 5 notes? Yes, F4 to C5. 2. Can it be heard from 30 feet away? Yes. 3. Is it original? You tell me. Have you ever seen a slide organ before? And 4. Is it under $75? Heck yes. And that's a wrap.